Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome along. Just catching up again in this little series where we're introducing you to some of the team and letting you know what they get up to on the day-to-day. So today I've got with me Stephanie Collins. Stephanie's been with Mazuma how long?
13 years next week.
13 years next week. So unlucky for some, but very lucky for us. And Stephanie is our head of professional standards. So Steph, do you want to let everyone know what you do and what on earth the head of professional standards is in an accounting practice?
Yeah. So as extravagant as that sounds, what I mainly deal with is all about our quality, compliance, and just ensuring that everything we're doing is up to the high standards we would expect and we would our clients would expect in this sort of industry. It's just as important to be as compliant and up to date with the ever-changing tax rates, tax rules. Anyone who's even had a toe in the pool of accountancy in the world will know this is ever-changing industry and rates changing all the time. So all I will do and what my main focus and goal is for both Mazuma the company and our staff and then therefore clients that we're up to date with everything. Internally we're checking that and that the quality is as high as I said we'd expect. We really want the best service for our clients and to know they're in safe hands with us, internally working away on that as well. And our staff are trained to the best that they can be to provide that service to clients as well. So I will then therefore ensure staff are trained to those standards too that we definitely expect to see.
Great, yeah. So people who might be unfamiliar with it, when you're an accountant, when you do your qualifications, that's not it. You've got to keep doing continual professional development, CPD, for the rest of your career. As Steph said, every time a budget comes out, every time we change Chancellor, Prime Minister, which is every 10 minutes at the moment, as we're filming this today in October 22, rules change all the time, and it's making sure that our staff are up to date with that, but also work that goes out of the door. You audit sample that, right? We're one of the only firms to do internal auditing of our own work. So you pick up a certain number of client files from each accountant every month and spot check them, and they never know which ones you're going to pick.
No, I am that slightly scary person within the company. Nice as I'll try and be, but yeah. And usually once people hear the word audit, there's a lot that goes around that. But yeah, as a company, I will spot check the work just to ensure that we are maintaining that. It's very easy to do one bit of training and let it continue, but no, we don't let it slip here. So yes, I will be picking on people's work just to make sure it's all as we expect.
That's the thing. In the same way that a manufacturing plant might pull samples of its product to test, we do exactly the same with accounts work. So we make sure that we're maintaining standards. So yeah, that's part of Steph's role. And Steph, you've spent 13 years having conversations with clients, with small businesses, with micro businesses, with self-employed people. What are the common themes that come up when you talk to them, and what are they worried about?
I think for me, and as you said, I've had a fair amount of years now talking with clients. I think it's just to know that they're supported with things like tax and HMRC. There's a lot of scaremongering out there with, even HMRC. Yes, we know they've also got a job to do, but the letters sent out, correspondence, there's the scary adverts on the radio that frighten you into thinking you're going to go to jail if you haven't done your tax return by a certain date. But we're there to make sure we support clients in that way. A lot of common themes that we see from people coming along to us is just to take away sort of that hassle of having to deal with filing something they don't know about filing deadlines maybe, so we can take away that. You have to prepare the figures, especially with the upcoming changes now to think, with things like MTD, that'll be another burden almost placed on people. So we just find that people need reassuring. Having an accountant in place is almost that buffer for being too scared, from the messaging sometimes given out by governments, and just having that reassurance that someone's there for you. You can have that worry taken away that things like the ever-changing rates are dealt with by someone else. And those picky little tax tips and rules that you might not be aware of, you've got someone there who is constantly looking out for them. Whether it's knowing that you can claim for working from home, a surprising amount of people pre-COVID, maybe not so much now, but definitely didn't know about that. Things like mileage, you can certain aspects of that you can actually apply VAT to an element of it if you're VAT registered. It's really, really picky, without the nature of myself being very technical, without going into too much detail and probably boring some people. It's just having that person there who is doing all of that for you. A lot of our clients are coming to us for someone to take that away. Some of the elements that they might have been okay with dealing with themselves, but you let something slip behind. We've all got things going on in our day-to-day lives, and as small business owners, essentially we want to be concentrated on making that and dealing with the things that might come up in that sense. So anything that an accountant could take away, and that we can, Mazuma can take away for small business owners, is what we essentially focus on, and is why I've been here 13 years, because I am personally passionate about making sure that we're doing the best for small business owners, because we all know someone who's got a business, so
yeah,
we wouldn't like to see them in that position, and I really feel like the need and the care to do that for others.
And that's the thing, when you run a small business, even if you're just self-employed and it's just you're not only the person who makes the sales, does the marketing, does all the admin, sends the invoices, runs your finance function, collects the payments, goes to the post office, answers the phone, receptionist. You're all these things, you're spinning all these plates, you're wearing all of these hats. And I think it's probably quite reassuring to small businesses that our subscription prices start at really quite a low cost for essentially having an accountant on hand all the time, that they can let go of one part of that. And I've talked about this on other these interviews with people, with cost of living and things looming and uncertainty economically, people might be looking at where they can cut costs. Obviously, I'm very biased. I don't think it's a place where you should be cutting costs in your finance and accountancy, especially with, like you just mentioned, MTD, making tax digital. For anyone who doesn't know about that, that's a change that's coming in from 2024. It's the biggest change to tax filing in a generation, the biggest one I've ever seen in my career. And it will essentially take a sole trader, if you're a self-employed painter, plumber, whatever you might do, and you file a tax return, you'll go from filing just one tax return a year to having to do a minimum of 5. So, and it's a significant burden on you. Not only that, you can't do it yourself on the HMRC site anymore. You have to use a third-party software or somebody like us to do it. So a huge burden there that we really want to take off small businesses. So with all that on the horizon, and extra costs coming down, people might be really tempted to kind of have a go themselves. We obviously advocate very much for people not doing that and using a service. But what would you say to someone who's kind of not seeing the value or questioning, well, can't I just do this myself? What's the 1 or 2 tips you'd say to kind of, not convince them, but let them know that, you don't want to be losing sleep over this? As someone who spent 13 years talking to small businesses exactly about this, what do you say to those people?
So my first thing would be, it's not that you can't do it, but I have seen the repercussions of people where it's gone wrong. And that is all, you can't put a price on that to me, in a sense of how much time and potential stress that I've seen that cause. We've all done it, tried to scour through our bills and see ways to cut costs, but an accountant to give you that reassurance and ensure that you are compliant with HMRC, you're compliant with the changes, and our prices, maybe a little bit biased after 13 years myself, are so fair in terms of what you get. Adjusting, picking your accountant as one of those areas is just going to end up causing you much more of a bigger headache in the future. A lot of the softwares now that claim you can do it yourself is, you may be able to physically input that into a piece of software, but what comes out of it then, and ensuring that is all stated as it should be, you've got no one then overseeing or checking that. And where we do it from start to finish, you almost really can't go wrong, because you just are ensuring that it's all done right from the get-go. So I do understand it's a bit of a scary time for a lot of people. But yeah, cutting costs for your accountant is just one of those areas that I don't think is best during, well, at any period, just for the reasons mentioned. It just makes it more of a mess. And you then, if you were to then want an accountant, you're looking at potentially paying double or an extra fee, where you've already spent this time doing it yourself, time, effort, money that you could be spent doing other things.
For them to go back and have to correct it when they spot it's wrong.
That may be something that then comes to it. So you're then incurring more costs, which was the whole point of trying to do that in the first place. So save you time, effort, and headaches. I would highly recommend not looking there. It's
not a DIY job, is it? I love what you said. I love what you said then about you can physically do it yourself. Like, sure, you can physically buy a bit of software and put some numbers in it, in the same way that if I need a wall building, I can physically buy bricks and cement and create something, but it doesn't mean that wall's going to be structurally sound or not fall on my head. So there are things we shouldn't skimp on.
Yeah, I think that's the main point really, is there's all things we can try and have a go at, but should you have a go at them? No.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, and I'm all for the DIY in a lot of aspects, but and there's a reason why accountants have to train and have to keep up qualifications, and there's a reason for the profession and industry, and I just think it's invaluable sometimes for what it can save people, never mind just the cost. And I'm a true believer in that.
Brilliant. You are a stickler for accuracy and things being perfect. So yeah, definitely a perfectionist. Steph, I have taken up more than enough of your very busy day. Thank you so much for hopping in to say hello to everybody. Everyone, this is Steph, who's our head of professional standards. She's one of our most brilliant and experienced chartered accountants at Mazuma. So thank you, Steph, for keeping up to date. And hopefully everyone watching this will go and watch the other ones in this series. So thank you.